voice in the media throughout the 2024 presidential race, and he's joining us now at the table. Please welcome back the author of the book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Charlamagne the God.
Get Honest or Die Lying. I guess that's a play off of Get Rich or Die Trying from 50 Cents.
Hello, ladies.
Hello. Nice to have you back.
Thank you for having me back.
Okay, so my question is, after the election, you said that you were disappointed but optimistic. How are you feeling right now?
I feel the same way because, I mean, what's the other option?
Right.
You know, I'm a country boy from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, raised on a dirt road. So, you know, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, my grandmother was a Baptist. So I still believe in this higher power called God.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't believe in God when, you know, things go your way and not believe in God when things don't go your way. So at a time like this, you just got to remember your serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because you can't change nothing.
I love that.
Charlamagne is very, very intelligent, very well read. That's why it was so painful to see him be so disingenuous on the Breakfast Club in terms of him getting really political with the Kamala versus Trump thing. And they were just so disingenuous. Anytime anyone from the right came on, they would hire like some woman to just attack them. And then whenever someone from the left came on, it would be very softball interviews and you know, they were just throwing him a bunch of alley-oops. So that was disheartening. He was a really big Kamala supporter. And, you know, vote for who you want. But it was apparent that the Breakfast Club, at least the company, had took a lot of money for the Kamala interview, you know, so they were paid to interview her, which is why the interview was so softballish.
Yeah, especially the wisdom to know the difference, right?
We can't change anything.
Can't.
I mean, you know.
Not yet.
Well, 4 years from now, I guess.
Or two.
You never know.
But let me ask you this: Trump's campaign ads for some, they're saying they were very effective, and in one in particular ad, he used a clip of you from the Breakfast Club saying, "quote Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners." You say that line was taken out of context. I know it was. But it went on to become one of his most effective campaign ads. I'm also featured in one of his campaign ads.
You might have been 1 and 2.
Yeah. I was. He texted me and
Yours was
let me know that.
Context.
No.
No, it wasn't. But what were you actually saying in the clip? And can you please explain that? And how does it make you feel that the campaign used you like that?
Well, it's never good to be taken out of context, but I was explaining to my listeners how effective I thought the actual ad was. Like, you know, the ad was effective before I was in it. I was just sitting at home watching football, and I saw it, and I was like, whoa. And so I knew the immediate reaction was going to be, you know, people are going to say, hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that. So I was explaining that to my listeners. So, I mean, yeah, it never feels good to be taken out of context, but what I didn't like the most was that they didn't do anything to combat it. Right. I would have ran the same ad and just said, Donald Trump, you know, what is it? Donald Trump supports, what was it?
He was the one that was supporting tax.
Yes, Donald Trump supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners. I would have ran the same ad because it was legislation under him as well. And you know what else I would have did if I was our campaign? Since Donald Trump used me, I would have used Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. Joe Rogan said he thought Donald Trump was, I think, unhinged was the quote.
Right.
You got to admit
that gives you an idea of how bad things were going in the country, because a lot of people who were not fans of Donald Trump initially as president thought that things were getting so bad that they voted for him. You know, that's telling.
You got to get dirty with these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to muddy the waters a little bit, cause confusion.
Yeah. Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, et cetera, as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it? I
mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, you know, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, you know, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, you know, whether or not, you know, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, you know, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, oh, you know, nobody's above the law, I respect, you know, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I mean, did anyone think for a second he wasn't going to, I mean, I'm not surprised. I've never been a fan of Joe Biden. So the fact that everyone's shocked about this is just crazy to me.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You
his
really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of
No,
a sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And this is just my feeling.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that
don't-
go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do
So we're
that.
mad at him because he changed his.
Oh, no. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning
But
Hunter
you
Biden.
sound like you're
No.
mad. Okay.
Listen, most legacy media in these shows have shown bias from one end to the other. We haven't had anyone really calling it like it is for quite some time. So the biggest issue is that neither party can admit when the right is far more honest than the left, in my opinion. That they're living in more reality, which is why the country voted the way that it did. But it's a case where you still can see bias on both sides from, there's not really, in my opinion, any fair, neutral news outlet.
Get in on this. I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions
Yes, I
and the
understand all that.
impartiality of the
Yes.
Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. The same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. We shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls? He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
has criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne.
I'm sorry.
I would love to see her say something negative about Joe Biden.
Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more, but you're missing my question.
Okay.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right?
I've been saying this for years that people, I've always considered myself to be an independent. I'm not on the left or the right. And, I really was never really into politics like that anyway. But I've noticed this tribalism where people just completely ignore like the left weaponizing the government to go after Trump, and also like how just so many things people are just glossing over, how we were censored on social media, even when it came down to getting the shot. If you were looking up any information, it was getting banned and taken down, and this was all happening under the Democrats, okay, where we were consistently getting censored more and more and more, and no one was noticing it. No one was saying anything about it.
Okay, I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes, but when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right? If you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
Right. I agree with Charlamagne here and this is on both sides. I think that it's on both sides. If you watch, the way I get my news is I try to watch both sides and then make up my mind from there. I'll listen to the left, listen to the right, and then try to make the best decision that I can. But I noticed that some people, they are just completely down the line. This is the way that my family has voted, and this is the way that we're going to. They're not interested. They're ignoring all the red flags that's going on with the country, from the inflation to the migrant crisis to the rise in crime, the issue with social media hijacking the kids' minds at a very young age, and even people who grew up without a cell phone, there's so many issues going on in this country between the spending, the proxy wars that we're in, so many issues, and we're talking about transgender issues. Okay, just it's ridiculous.
Yes, but
And I think that's the best way to go.
But that's not a monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are
wrong. So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I
She doesn't think Joe Biden is wrong? Wow.
point this out to you? The president has a part in power,
you're
right?
ridiculous.
I didn't say you were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg. I said that. I just think that's
Think about
Come over and
it.
give
Just
me a
think about
kiss.
it this way.
He hopped out of that chair quick.
Just very quickly, can you reframe it in this way and think about it maybe in this way? The president has the ultimate part in power. Every president has done this, right?
Yeah.
And so people are saying is that Joe Biden is now a liar, as opposed to Joe Biden is someone who now knows that the person that is going to be in the White House is on a revenge tour and his son is on an enemies list. And so he is using his rightful power, his rightful political power, to pardon his son. Now, is that a lie, or is that perhaps being pragmatic, having a change of opinion, as opposed to the president-elect who has lied almost 40,000 times during his first term?
Well, I can't say what it is because I'm not in
the moral high ground? Like, what's the faux outrage?
Neither one of them have the moral high ground. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. But when you are a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican, you refuse to be objective about the other party. Like it's like we're watching them do something wrong, but we're making excuses for it. We watch Republicans do things wrong and they make excuses for it. Why can't we just all be objective and call it what it is?
Because it's not balanced.
It's not the same.
I love how he's taking this. Oh, as someone who's watched Charlamagne and Andrew Schultz, I used to watch The Brilliant Idiots, and definitely watched The Breakfast Club, a lot of their classic interviews they've had. So I paid attention to the rhetoric around Charlamagne and this campaign between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And they have been like, The Breakfast Club in general have been like their number one one of their number one supporters. Okay, if there was a conservative that they interviewed, they would hire someone to ambush that conservative and ask them a lot of crazy questions to make them look kind of crazy. Versus if it was someone on the other side, they would softball those interviews, and they would not be objective. They would still try to get their viral moments if they could, but for the most part, it was nowhere near the same interview. You can go back and watch most, like the one they did with Larry Elder. There's the one they did with Vivek Ramaswamy as well. Just go back and watch those interviews, and you'll see that Charlamagne wasn't being fair, in my humble opinion. But it's funny that he's taking this twist now and kind of like pivoting and we just need to look at both parties and be objective. Well, that's not what you were pushing for on a really large platform, but it's one of the reasons why black folks voted for Kamala Harris at 90% rating or near it. All right, that the Breakfast Club and a lot of these platforms, it's the information's out there now that they spent $1 billion paying a lot of these platforms and these people that interview them and to basically say good things about her. Okay, and that's not the way journalism is done. Okay, that's not in my opinion. I don't think that there's anything integral about that. And I know that also happened with Donald Trump as well. But Donald Trump would sit down and have a 1 hour interview, and you could see all of his flaws. You could see the good things about him and the bad things about him. There was no hiding with Donald Trump. What you get is what you see. Versus Kamala Harris, they would send the questions beforehand, and there was things she was allowed to say, things she wasn't allowed to say. So, that's why she was terrified to just sit down and have a 2 hour conversation, because so much would get exposed about their agenda, her character, whatever have you. So, it's crazy to see this, but that's just my take. You guys let me know what you think in the comments section. Where am I wrong? Where am I right? Let me know.